All right, so today we're going to talk about leather. But here's the thing, we're not just talking about a material, no, we're going to unpack it as a philosophy, really. A series of choices that tell this complete, totally self-contained story.
So let's just start with this question in mind, right? What if the things we own, what if they aren't just dead objects, but are actually holding a story? A story that started way before we ever got our hands on them, and a story that keeps going with every single mark and scuff we add.
You know, the perfect symbol for this whole idea is the Ouroboros, that ancient image of a serpent eating its own tail. It's all about a closed loop, a system where the end is really just the beginning all over again. And for leather, that loop kicks off right here, with the rawhide.
So before it ever becomes a wallet or a bag, the hide is, well, it's a biological record. You can think of it as this unified manifold, a complete, continuous landscape that tells the story of an animal's entire existence.
This is where we gotta reframe our whole idea of flaws. Those marks you see, scars, little insect bites, brands from the ranch, they are not defects. They're story points. Every single one tells a piece of that animal's life story, etched right into the material itself. It's a map.
And this, right here, perfectly illustrates the fundamental duality that every single leather artisan has to get their head around. On one hand, you have the hide as a single, unified object. But on the other hand, it's a multiplicity, a super complex, almost chaotic weave of millions and millions of individual collagen fibers. And mastering the craft? It means learning how to work with both of those realities at the exact same time.
Okay, so this brings us to the first really big decision. Once you've got the hide, you have to tan it to turn it into leather. And this isn't just a chemical process, you know? It's the first major philosophical choice an artisan has to make.
And right off the bat, that choice splits into two completely opposite paths. You can either follow the organic loop, which means you're working with nature's cycle, or you can try to create what we're calling a broken loop, an attempt to make something that exists totally outside of that cycle. This comparison just lays it all out there. Vegetable tanning, our organic loop, uses tannins from plants in a process that takes months. Seriously, months. The result is this dynamic material that actually evolves and develops a beautiful patina. And at the end of its long life, it biodegrades. It closes the loop. Then you've got chrome tanning, the broken loop. This uses chromium salts to get the job done in like a few days. It creates a static material that doesn't really age, it just wears out. And at the end, it becomes this persistent waste, like a ghost in the ecosystem that won't go away.
And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? One is an organism, a living partner that literally changes with you. The other is a shield, designed to resist the world and stay exactly the same. They're two completely different philosophies.
Okay, so you've tanned your leather. What's next? The next big choice is how you're going to join the pieces together. And you guessed it, it's another decision that pits a strong, resilient loop against a fast but fragile line.
Let's talk about the gold standard for hand sewing, the saddle stitch. Get this. You use two needles on one piece of thread. They pass through the same hole from opposite sides, and they create a knot inside the leather with every single stitch. It's just an incredibly strong, redundant system.
And here's why that is so important. With a saddle stitch, our loop, if one stitch frays and breaks, who cares? The rest of the seam holds totally firm, because every stitch is its own little fortress. Now compare that to a machine's lock stitch, the line. The top and bottom threads just kind of hook onto each other. If one stitch breaks, the tension's gone and the whole seam can just unravel. It's like a fragile chain.
All right, on to the third choice. And this one really challenges a very modern obsession we all seem to have, this desire for everything to be flawless, uniform, and perfect. I mean, what a powerful statement. It makes you stop and ask, what does quality even mean? The argument here is that when we chase this idea of a perfect, totally unblemished surface, we're actually making something that's weaker and, in a way, less true.
The philosophy behind this idea is the Japanese concept of wabi-sabi. It's all about finding beauty not in sterile perfection, but in things that are authentic, imperfect, and transient. It's about celebrating the natural character of materials exactly the way they are.
And here's exactly how that plays out with leather grades. Full grain, that's wabi-sabi in action. It's the most honest leather. It keeps all those natural marks, and crucially, it keeps the strongest, densest layer of the hide right there on top. But to get that perfection, you create top grain by literally sanding that surface away,
which physically weakens the leather. And if you go even further, you get corrected grain, where the surface is sanded down, coated in plastic, and stamped with a fake pattern. It looks perfect, but it's kind of lost its soul.
So we've talked a lot about the material, right? But this loop doesn't exist without the maker. The journey of the artisan is its own special kind of Ouroboros.
Any artisan's path pretty much follows these 4 stages. You start out as a novice, where you don't even know what you don't know. Then you become an apprentice, and you're painfully aware of all your mistakes. As a journeyman, you can do the work and do it well, but it takes all your concentration. And then finally, as a master, the skill is just intuitive. The tool becomes an extension of your own body.
This whole journey is a cognitive spiral. It's this endless loop of practice, failure, learning, and refinement that just feeds back into itself, always pushing the artisan closer to mastery. In Japan, they call this dedication the shokunin spirit. It's this deep, almost spiritual duty to perfect one's craft forever.
And that brings us to the final stage of the loop. But for the object itself, the story is far from over. In fact, you could say the most beautiful part of its journey is just about to begin.
And that is patina. It's the story of your life with the object, written right onto its surface. The oils from your hands, the sunlight it catches, the way it rubs against your clothes. The leather absorbs all of it, causing it to darken and develop a character that is 100% unique to you. It's not breaking down, it's evolving.
And this is where it all comes full circle. Every single one of those choices the artisan made way back at the beginning, choosing vegetable tanning over chrome, picking the saddle stitch over the machine, all of it determines whether the object you're holding has the ability to develop this rich, evolving story, or if it's just destined to crack, peel, and wear out.
So at the end of the day, it all comes down to this one question. The next time you pick up a wallet, or a belt, or a bag, what are you going to see? Is it just going to be an object? Or are you going to be able to read the choices embedded inside it and see the story of its life? A story in a perfect, endless loop.